Welcome to Startup TV Boston. My name's Michael McCarthy, and I would like to invite a guest from the Hult Prize in Boston, Francis Duan. Welcome, Francis.
Thank you.
Startup TV Boston started about 3 years ago in response to some of my students in the Harvard Entrepreneurship and Innovation class that after the semester ended, their projects were actual startups. And when the semester ended, they wanted to continue. I started the TV show so that I could tape their pitches so that they could then send them to venture capitalists to look for funding. The show has become popular, and now what I do on a monthly basis is interview new startups. And Francis is actually a finalist to win $1 million at the Hult Prize, which is going to be held at the United Nations in September. So Francis, can you tell us a little bit about what the Hult Prize is?
Well, the Hult Prize is a social entrepreneur program that was started by Ahmad Ashkar from the Hult University. And what he does is he go around the world, get the brightest students, come and compete with an idea or a new business that's going to change the world, maybe help poor people or maybe help improve social lives for the visible minority around the world. And that's what I know about Hult Prize.
Now, my understanding is that every year the Hult Prize has a different criteria for who wins the $1 million. So what is the criteria this year to win the $1 million?
This year is the refugee crisis, and according to the Hult Prize definition, the refugee includes people that live in slums, people that are just internally displaced, economic migrants, and out of those definitions beyond the United Nations, traditional or camp-based refugee. And so the challenge is to develop a business that's going to help 10 million of those in 5 years.
Okay, so you're trying to help 10 million people by what year?
2020.
2020, okay. And how many applicants applied this year to the Hult Prize?
There were about 50,000 universities, and out of that, 300 were shortlisted, and the 300 competed in 5 cities around the world. And I competed in Dubai, some competed here in Boston, and others competed in Shanghai and London and other places.
And how many finalists are there now?
Right now, there are 5 regional finalists with 3 wild cards. So the wild cards are those that were within the final range, but they didn't actually win, but are here to maybe get some chances to go to the final.
So right now there's 8.
So there's 8.
There's 8 finalists, and how many are actually going to go to the United Nations?
Most likely all or 6.
So between 6 and 8,
Yeah.
and you're one of them.
Yeah.
So you might be a millionaire soon.
Most likely.
Most likely. I like the confidence. I like the confidence.
Well, if all 8 goes, I've got 16.5% of being a millionaire.
You have a fair shot.
Yeah,
fair
yeah.
shot. So what is your startup idea? How are you going to help 10 million people?
Well, the first problem is it's a refugee crisis, as I mentioned before. And we are scale to scale. And what we do is we connect refugees with the jobs in their community. And why is this important? Well, in the first place, most refugee problems starts from either economic problems or maybe drought or mostly war. And we are trying to stop that by tackling the problem at the base. That's what makes our approach very unique and makes it a little different from most other approaches.
So you're basically trying to help refugees and displaced people get jobs?
Integrate, yes.
To integrate?
Yes.
And I see you have your pitch deck. Could you give us your presentation?
Sure.
Okay. Off you go.
We are scale to scale, and we connect refugees to jobs in their new homes. Why are we important to this refugee crisis? We attack or we solve the problem for refugees at the bottom of the problem. We want to start facing the problem from where it started in the first place. And one of those places we have to start is in Africa. Why? According to the United Nations Impact Academic, over 31 million refugees roam the African continent. And out of that, about 80% of them live in sub-Western Africa, which translates to 24 million people. And most of them, they are young, with poor quality education, and unemployed. And when we look at these factors, when we started to research, these are the major reasons we see this migrant movement of people. And so we thought about the best way to solve the problem is to try and integrate these people or bring them up to a level where they were not before. A great example is myself. I lived in the refugee camp for 12 years. I was 9 years old when I moved to the camp, and I was there until I was in my 20s. All of those times, I looked for a job. I couldn't find one because I didn't have the qualifications. I didn't have the connection. I was disconnected from the society in which I found myself at the time. And with that, I found life extremely difficult. This is not just a story of me, it's a story of me and millions of other refugees out there. Even right now in Canada, to get a job, you need some sort of references or history of what you've been doing before. And if it is not, a refugee cannot get integrated easily. This is how refugees find jobs currently in Africa. They sit on the street because they lack connections, and they have no credible history, and they lack the skills for vital jobs in their communities. We have a solution to this problem. And our solution for connectivity is to connect these refugees to multiple jobs. And the kind of job is not the traditional job you might think about. It's an everyday job that they do on a daily basis. So we connect them to multiple ones to sustain their life, but also track their work progress, track their work history, so that their next job will have a reference of what they've done before. The next step is also providing the opportunity to upgrade. Upgrade means I have been doing mason for maybe a few more time. I've been doing cement mixing. Can I now go to other bricks laying? Or can I move and do other decorating the wall or doing something like drywall that might be a little more skillful, that might give them a lot more income? So we recommend those paths, and we work with institutions that have these skills training programs so that this refugee can have the new skills to better their lives. So our first solution is to integrate them or connect them to these jobs, multiple jobs like transportation, mechanics, administration, things like call centers and retails, like every other little job that is out there, or gardening or cleaning in people's homes. For the fact that these refugees are disconnected from the network of the society in which they live, being the bridge between the refugees and their new society will enable these people to have access to new jobs and integrate into their new society. And next is the platform. What we do here is we track and rank their record of work history. This will give them a vital opportunity for their next job. An employee without a work history, an employer cannot trust whatever they're going to say, especially when you are from a war zone, a war country where everything has, lost. And this is our third step in upgrading refugees. So we will not just find them jobs, but for this example, we will recommend them for skills training that will enable them to push forward. So we have here a general laborer makes, for example, $10 in Ghana. From a general laborer, we can push him up to being a cement mixer, and he goes to a bricklayer, and you can see how this can add value to that very person. In short, this is how our platform works. We upload the profile of both the employers and the employees on the platform. When an employee requests a job, multiple matches are sent to him or her. The employer searches, goes through the matches, reviews the employee, and then confirms one and sends the message to that person. So our unique algorithm will send an SMS message to the employee, and from his mobile phone, the employee can just accept the job and then get it done. not just do we believe in ourselves or we believe in the solution, this has worked in other places like Mexico, Brazil, and Pakistan. And these companies are currently advising us or being on our advisory board to help us push our project forward. The unique thing about Africa is that the environment, the culture, the people, they're different. So it means we have to adapt to the changes that we're going to face, and we're going to adapt to our technology, we're going to adapt to how things work over there that is different from other places. So for our pilot location, we have criteria that we take. The country must be in Africa, and it should have a certain percentage of migrant workers, telephone ownership, internet usage, and all of these criteria. That's what we look for, because our platform is a mobile-based platform. So our pilot location is Ghana. And Ghana has over 20,000 plus migrant workers or refugees, and they have 65% of Ghanaians they own a cell phone or of some sort, smartphone. And then internet penetration is about 25% right now, and construction is on the rise. But most African countries right now, they want to improve their lives, so a lot of middle class is growing up and businesses are coming, and so construction is on the rise, but the skill sets to do this construction or the connection between contractors and those employees there is lacking, is invisible. So when we pilot in Ghana, we look for other countries that have similar characteristics or similar criteria like Ghana. So markets like Kenya, Rwanda, we have our next place of growth. They have similar characteristics of what we found in Ghana. Piloting in Ghana, we look at specific things of how big this market is. We look at the entire labor force in Ghana, what percentage of that labor force is in the informal sector, which is not organized right now, and how we can capture that. So for our first year, we look forward to capturing 0.00605%, which will give us around 60,000 people, or 60,000 job connection. So translating that into how much we charge and how much we're going to get, we take a commission of 8% for how much the employer pays the employee. And we charge the employer, not the employee. And if we do 60,000 connection per year for our starter, our charges is going to be $1.60 per connection based on that $20 to $25 per day job. And for the year, we're making around $96,000. Just on the unit cost, this is the breakdown of our expenditures, our revenue, based on 50 job marches, and our expenditure. Right now, our profit or loss is in the negative because at the beginning, we have to do a lot of investments into our software development, deploying our staff on the ground, doing research, understanding the market. So we will have negative profit at the beginning. But as you can see, as the line goes up, this is digital. So as the number increase, definitely we're going to be profitable. At the moment, we have partnership with organizations and governments in Ghana. And one of our criteria, again, to just bring about is that the governments that are very lenient with refugees and that are accepting refugees into their community. So we have the Minister of Labor and Employment and Labor Relations in Ghana, which we've spoken to. We have other companies, 10 local institutions. We have GIZ that is helping Ghanaians with the training programs that we are talking to, and some other international organizations like Opportunity International, just for our partnership. Not just do we believe in this program or this our business activity, our partners, especially the technological advisory team, believes in us, and they've even given the worth of $30,000 for the initial development program. Our product has a very competitive advantage. And one is the ability to predict what is needed tomorrow, which is the AI system. So we can identify skills need or skills gap within the society, and then be able to recommend training in that very sector. And I know this is a major problem too in other countries. If you don't, people graduate from regular schools, like you become an accountant, you go out there, now pretty much computer is doing everything in an accounting field. So there is not a traditional accounting field out there anymore. But how do we identify these gaps? How do we identify what is needed? That's what our technology does. And for the fact that it's on the low-tech mobile base, it means most of these places in which we're operating, that is covered around about 95% of Africa covers around 2G network. So it means we can get these things to as many people as possible. How will your $1 million help us? Well, our platform is still in development form. So we need some money to invest into the platform, and then to establish strategic partnership with employers to bring on board workers and as much as employers. So this is the breakdown. So we're going to use $600,000 to complete our platform. We're going to use about 125 to establish partnership with governments and private institutions. We're going to bring employers on board with around 75, and then bring the employees on board with around $200,000. If the investment is done, refugees will increase job opportunities for refugees, will increase their household income through their skills upgrading, and they will be able to be contributors to local economy than just takers, because that's what we sometimes term them. And then we will provide a pathway for them to upgrade their skills, which will better their life in the long run as well as in the short run. The unique thing about our team is the dynamic of the team and the credibility and our experiences. We are from the north, the south, and the west. And we have worked on the field. Some of us have been refugees. Some of us are from there. And we have worked with the United Nations. We have been on camps, and we understand what it is being a refugee and what it takes not to become a refugee. And that's what we do.
Excellent. Thank you for showing me that. So let me ask you, where are you now? Are you live with the product yet?
Yes, we are live with the product. As I said, the development has started. The second interface is coming up, and then we are trying to see how the users interact with it, because mostly it is a behavior-based thing. So we have to adapt to how people respond to the situation, to our product, and how we can make changes to meet their needs.
So has anyone gotten a job from your platform yet?
Right now, the answer is no. We are still bringing them on board.
Okay.
So we are establishing the network.
So where are you now? What's standing between now and someone in Ghana downloading the app and finding a job? Where are you now between that? What needs to happen?
Well, we need to go on the ground from here. We have spoken to companies that are willing to engage into our program, like mostly our construction companies who have two already that is on a standby, that is highly interested because of how much they've been losing. So I would say we're on the second stage, or in terms of timeline, we're on the second stage. I would say, or maybe if you want to say from 1 to 5, we'll be on 2. 2 means getting the thing to work, or getting our platform to work.
Okay, so right now you have employers who know about the product, and they say, when it's ready to go, call us and we'll start posting jobs on it.
Yes.
Okay, so that side of the equation is good. Now, have you spoken to any potential employees, people that would be getting jobs from the platform?
Yes, we have. When I was in Ghana 3 weeks ago, and I spoke to a lot of employees, and then in fact, I went with them on the field, and I saw what they did. I went to where they work and how they stood in queues on some employment sites, because sometimes they get these jobs by word of mouth, and the employers allow them to come on their work site, but if the employer needs about 10 persons and 50 persons show up, then they're just going to stand there hoping that they're going to get in, and they're going to spend the entire day just standing there. So
do any employers know that your product exists?
Yes, a few of them already know. We've spoken to a few that know that our product exists, yeah.
And what has their response been to it when you gave them the idea?
Well, what we told them is the value we are creating for them, and also the value we're creating for the society. Because as they grow, they will need these people. They will need skills, especially those in the construction industry. They will need higher skills in order to grow. If, for example, if I leave from here to go to Ghana, I wouldn't want my life to be backward. I want it to go forward. So if I cannot duplicate my life there, I might not want to live there. And so that would require the engineer or the contractor to build something to the standard that I want. And in Kenya, houses have been collapsing over people because of poor work. So if a constructor does a poor work for the fact that the skills worker were not there, then they might be either responsible for something in the future, and I don't think they might want to pay that cost.
Understood. So when will your app be available for the employees to start looking for jobs?
It is available right now.
It is available now?
It is available right now as we speak.
So can people download the app now?
Yes, they can download the app now, or by next week they should be able to download it.
Okay, so in a week the app will be ready.
Yeah.
And will you be going live next week, or does something need to happen between that?
No, right after next week I should be going.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in about 1 week,
Yeah.
you're going to be able to, you're going to go live.
Yeah, yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Are you excited?
I'm really excited. I can't wait. I can't wait for that.
So what sort of, specifically, you're taking an 8% commission.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the net payment to the worker, is it going to be the same that they would be getting to what they can get now when they're looking for a job standing in line?
Well, the problem is, I would say no, because the value that we are giving the employer is what he's paying for. Because ordinarily, if a person stands in line, how do you know that the guy is going to do your work, or he's the person to do the job?
Let me ask it in a simpler way. Mm-hmm. Let's say I'm standing in line waiting to get a job, mm-hmm. and I get a job, and it's $20 a day. Mm-hmm. That's the standing in line job. Yeah. If I get the same job by using your app, how much am I going to make?
You have the chance to get more of that on a daily basis than just today, because today you might know that, hey, there's a job here, and most likely you might or might not get in. But if you have our app, if this guy is not available or there's no job here, there are other jobs around the city that is coming to you, or around your neighborhood that you don't know of that is coming to you. So that's going to be the advantage of having the app over not having it.
So if I wait in line and I get $20 a day, mm-hmm. I know I get $20 a day for waiting in line.
Okay.
But if I use your app, am I going to make more than $20 or less than $20?
You are not making less than $20. You are only increasing the chance of getting your daily job, or maybe a longer term job, and then keep a record of what you've been doing to represent you tomorrow. So
the employee makes the same money, $20 a day, whether they wait in line or whether they use the app? Yes.
In the short term, they will make the same money, but in the long run, they have the chance to make something much bigger than that.
I understand. So the employer will be can pay $20 for people waiting in line, mm-hmm. or they can pay $20 plus 8% mm-hmm. to post a job on your app.
Yes.
So the employer has a labor cost of 8% higher mm-hmm. to use your app.
Definitely.
Okay. And what is their incentive to be paying more for a worker?
The incentive is the pain the employer is paying now, or the pain they're going through now. For example, I met an employer who constructed a house that worth $1.3 million, about 4-story houses. And he had to fix the stairs about 3 times, because those guys who did the job, they know how to do it well. Another thing he told me was that the bathrooms were not made properly, so water sets into the house.
Because they had poor quality workers.
Poor quality workers. So now he's always struggling to identify or refers and identifying who the best person is. But what he's going to be paying for is the fact that this guy has worked for that person over so time, maybe about 3-4 years, so I can trust him.
So they're paying 8% more because they get a resume, they get higher quality workers, and they can see other jobs that they've done.
Plus our track record for providing good quality workers.
Okay, I understand. So that's a benefit, and that's worth money, because you pay 8%, you get your stairs done once instead of 3 times. That makes sense. Now, it sounds like this works on a gig basis, meaning on a day labor rate. What happens if that construction company wants to hire the person full-time? What happens to you getting paid?
Well, that's where our adoption will come in. So as we move forward, as we move them from being a day laborer to a lot more employee-based kind of structure, because at least they have some sort of experience in history or some kind of a track record, then we approach the employer on a different basis. Currently, those that are doing it in Mexico and in Brazil, they're based on a percentage basis, and they're based on a negotiation. So it's not fixed.
So the employer would come to you and say, I've hired this person, he's worked for me for a few days, I love him, I want him to work for me full time. Then they come to you and say, how much do you want to hire this person on a full-time basis?
Well, what we do is we negotiate with the employer and say, okay, we're going to supply you maybe on the monthly basis or on the weekly basis, maybe around, you guarantee about 10 workers every day. You don't have to go and pick them up around the street. We supply you 10 good people every day. So we have that, so he might pay a premium for that. And then if he wants to keep those 10 guys, then we're going to negotiate with him for keeping them.
Understood.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's to prevent the employer from cutting you out of the deal and just saying to these guys, just show up tomorrow?
Well, that's why we partner with government officials. We want to make sure, we want to transform the informal sector to a formal sector. So this means we have to have rules and regulations that we're going to live by. We have to have contracts that we're going to deal with. We're going to have terms of our operation if you want us to offer you value, so that we live in a much more modern society than just a society where anyone can do anything.
Excellent. Well, Francis, I appreciate all the time that you've spent with us today, and I wish you all the best of luck when you go to the United Nations in New York, and you have a 1 out of 6 chance of winning $1 million. If you win, could I invite you back on the show to see what it's like to have a millionaire on the show?
Definitely. I would love to come back.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you very much, and we hope to see you again.
You're most welcome.
See you next time, everyone.